Live from Central Pennsylvania, this is CBS 21 News at 11.
Tonight, a groundbreaking moment in the battle against COVID-19. New guidance from the CDC dropping mask mandates for fully vaccinated people. What you need to know in less than a minute. Plus, tensions boiling over in the Middle East, how the conflict is escalating, and fuel is moving through the Colonial Pipeline, but slowly. Gas is still hard to find from Texas to D.C., and tonight we're learning a ransom was paid to get gas flowing again. But first, we're following breaking news of a mass shooting in Providence, Rhode Island. Authorities say 9 people were shot, 3 of them critically wounded. Investigators say the gunman pulled up in a car and sprayed a home with bullets. So far, police have not made any arrests. We're continuing to follow the story and we'll break in with updates as soon as we get them. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Megan Majensky. The CDC issued new guidance on mask wearing that for many feels like a step back in time to before the pandemic. People fully vaccinated against COVID-19 can go without masks indoors and outdoors. It still calls for wearing masks in crowded indoor settings like buses, planes, and hospitals. People with compromised immune systems should speak with their doctors before ditching the mask, but CDC Director Rochelle Walensky emphasizing this could be reversed.
If things get worse, there is always a chance we may need to make change to these recommendations.
In a statement, the PA Department of Health clarifying that these guidelines automatically went into effect for the Commonwealth. Now, this means we're one step closer to returning to pre-pandemic life. CBS 21's Nick Volturo is live in Harrisburg. Now, Nick, are people excited to finally take off their masks?
You know, Megan, you would think they would be overly excited, but I think the better word is cautiously optimistic.
Philadelphia Health Commissioner resigns over his involvement in the cremation and disposal of remains belonging to victims of the 1985 MOVE bombing that were found several years ago. In a press conference earlier tonight, it was revealed that Dr. Thomas Farley came forward with this information. The mayor said he just learned what happened 2 days ago and asked Farley to resign. Earlier today, a group honored the victims and reacted to the news of Farley stepping down 36 years to the day of the bombing.
The MOVE bombing, even though it happened way before me, I still identify with it. It was still an atrocity, and I'm here to let that be known. But at the same time, I'm here to honor those lives who are lost, because their lives should not be in vain.
May 13th, 1985, police dropped 2 bombs on the MOVE compound in Philadelphia, killing 11 people. 5 of the victims were children. The subsequent fire gutted more than 60 homes. This all started after neighbors complained to the city about trash around their building, years worth of confrontations with neighbors, and bullhorn announcements of political messages by MOVE members. The August trial of 3 former Minneapolis police officers charged in the death of George Floyd has been postponed. A Minnesota judge delayed the case until next March, so a federal trial could proceed first. They're all facing charges of aiding and abetting Floyd's murder in state court. A jury convicted Derek Chauvin last month. He is to be sentenced in June. Now, gasoline is still hard to find from Texas to D.C. because of panic buying when the entire Colonial Pipeline was shut down for 6 days after a ransomware attack. And tonight, we're learning a ransom was paid to get gas flowing again. CBS's Manuel Bojorquez reports from North Carolina.
In just a few minutes, Megan, back to you.
Thanks, Tom. When the news continues, see how a Virginia pastor turned a stolen bike into a way of helping hundreds in his community. But first, in tonight's Spotlight on America, we're investigating a delay in payouts for military malpractice. Today, the TSA showcasing how the checkpoint experience has changed at HIA, with more travelers taking to the sky. And as more people return to the airport, TSA agents say it's important to know what you can and can't bring on a plane to limit contact.
We're all about trying to, again, reduce touch points. So that's why it's so important right now to know what is in your carry-on bag.
They also discussed a number of new touchless technologies at the airport. 1 in 5 people are dealing with mental health issues, and police officers are not immune. Suicide rates among officers are extremely high. Tomorrow night on CBS 21 News at 11, we take a look at the numbers and trends and what's being done to deal with the growing issue of mental health problems in our community. Dozens of families are waiting for the chance to hold the military accountable for medical malpractice 2 years after a law promised change. But Spotlight on America's ongoing investigation discovered political red tape and government delays are blocking their efforts. National investigative correspondent Josie Sturman takes a look at the holdup and speaks with the U.S. Congresswoman vowing to end it.
Done.
After beating Hodgkin's lymphoma 2 years ago, the Make-A-Wish Foundation still promised to grant Peyton Latshaw his wish. The now 17-year-old saw that wish come to life today, cutting the ribbon on the newly revived Deppen Park in Halifax. Latshaw's wish was to refurbish the park that had deteriorated over the last 10 years.
A little extra emphasis that you can do it, and there's stuff at the end for not like, just kind of like a little bit of reward, like a cherry on top sort of thing for when you do get through it.
Months of planning went into this project, and nearly 30 volunteers helped build a pavilion, slides, swings, and paint benches, leaving their handprints on the park and in the community.
Kids should get whatever they dream, right, to help them battle these life-threatening diseases. And a lot of kids pick either fancy trips or meeting someone famous or something really over the top for themselves. And Peyton's wish was to rebuild the community park, not for him, but for the entire community. I mean, that's a pretty rare thing.
That's beautiful. Those involved in renovating the park say they're also hoping to begin building a basketball court in the next month. 2 York police officers are receiving special awards for doing something they barely have the training to do: deliver a baby. Casey Poppenweimer went into labor at home and called her husband, and her husband called 911 when they knew the baby was coming. The officers arrived before the EMTs, but luckily they're both moms who knew how to coach Casey through pushing.
I did not watch the birth of my own children, but I was there for it. So yes, I knew exactly what to do. I stayed calm, so when she started giving birth, I knew what to tell her, and she did an excellent job just listening, breathing through her contractions.
It was really comforting to have them there and to work through and waiting for the EMT, so they did an awesome job.
Chief Tim Damon presented the officers with baby pink and blue pins. Zoe and her mom are both healthy, and the officers say the department has her back for life. Bike sales surged in the early months of the pandemic, and with so many stores sold out, one Virginia pastor wondered if a thief who stole his bike may have needed it to get to work. Christina Ruffini shows us how the pastor seized the moment to help his community. So Pastor Robbie Pruitt began to fix up donated bikes for free. Makes me want to get on a bike, that sure does. Well, it's not uncommon to see art up for auction, but this work has quite the backstory. The details behind Alice Cooper's rediscovery next. An Andy Warhol canvas found years ago in the garage of rocker Alice Cooper could become the highest selling artwork ever in Arizona. It will be up for bidding on October 23rd. The gallery estimates it could fetch anywhere from $2.5 to $4.5 million. Cooper says the artwork was a birthday gift in the 70s from a girlfriend who was friends with Warhol. The gallery owners say they will donate part of any commission to Cooper's nonprofit, Bring the Arts to Teens. And in Chicago, a cat probably cashed in all 9 lives after jumping 5 stories from a burning building. That noise is making me giggle. Video shot by the fire department shows smoke billowing from the apartment building, and witnesses say the cat landed safely on the grass and then ran away, on all 4s even. Miraculous. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is coming up, but first, Tom will be back with a final check of your forecast.
Megan, I think the second half of the month is going to feel much more summer-like as we kind of get back to that warm pattern for the rest of May. Have a great night. We'll send it back to you.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much, Tom. And that just about does it for us for CBS 21 News. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow morning on CBS 21 News this morning starting at 5 a.m. Have a good night, everybody.